listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the AwardsWatch Podcast, episode 233. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade, and joining me today is our editor-in-chief, Erik Anderson.
Hello, hello.
And that's it. It's just us today. haven't had one of these in a long time where it's just you and me doing a podcast. I feel like it's been...
I know.
It's been... Usually, if it's only the two of us, we're in the same room together doing a dispatch from like Telluride or AFI or...
Jail.
Yeah, definitely jail. Like
something
straight
like that.
Prison. Not straight prison, but you know what I mean. Like in prison. Anyway, today is a busy episode. It's a very big episode because it is the start of really our first coverage of the new Oscar season. And we're going to talk a little bit about Cannes. We're going to talk a little bit about the award season, what to look forward to, what we're kind of eyeing as first potential films that could be big players in the race, what we're maybe also a little bit skeptical on at the start of all this. Just to let everybody know up at the top, and Erik, you can go right into this as well. This is not all set in stone. It's just based off of maybe trailers or little things that we might have heard or whatnot. But these predictions are not set in stone. Some people love to just hold their one-year predictions like it is bread and butter, like it is like a prophecy from the future. And we are just going to have a little bit of fun and conversation about it. But first thing, before we do anything, we're also going to talk about maybe the biggest release this weekend, though it wasn't the big at the box office. And it was a film that actually had a premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. And that was George Miller's Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, which is the fifth film in the Mad Max franchise. It is a prequel to the Oscar-winning epic Mad Max Fury Road, one of the great films of the last decade, right, Erik? And much anticipation. George Miller returning to the wasteland, Chris Hemsworth, Anya Taylor-Joy. No Max this time. And kind of telling the origin story of how Furiosa became Imperator Furiosa. Anya Taylor-Joy substitutes Charlize Theron. A lot of people have been talking about this. One of the films that was one of the more celebrated, highly rated films out of Cannes. And so, Erik, you saw this, I think, the day after it premiered at Cannes. And I know you're a little lesser on it than everybody else. So why do you hate this movie?
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Why?
Yeah. Let me start with the things that I do like about it.
Oh. It's gonna be
I do like Chris Hemsworth. I think he is the right tone of villain. Maybe almost a little too comedic. A little bit. But I did like very much what is such a unique and specific style of Australian filmmaking, and one that Miller uses all the time. And that is that slightly sped up, like cut missing frames element. That is, it's both a sort of, passage of time and comedy at the same time. And it's in most of his films. And like I said, it is in so many Australian films. It's such a staple. And so I like that. It felt very much like his roots were still there. He wasn't, making something completely out of his wheelhouse. And there is a comfort to that as a director when they do that. And I think for something like this, which is a direct prequel to the previous film, the style should pretty much be the same. It shouldn't be so divergent from it that it doesn't make any sense as, being in the same universe and the same timeline. So I liked that. I liked those elements a lot. I really loved the young girl, Ilia Brown, that played Furiosa for half of the movie.
I'd say half the film, yeah.
And that's where we get into the things that I didn't like and I think were either a bad idea or didn't work so well. And that was spending so much time with her as that young and that age.
Okay.
And taking so long to get to Anya Taylor-Joy. And in that regard, I think Brown gives a much better performance than Joy. Much better. I was surprised. I like Anya Taylor-Joy a lot, and she obviously, with her minimal dialogue, has to do a lot physically instead, and a lot with her face. And she's very expressive. She has giant eyes, and they're on the opposite side of her head. She looks like a praying mantis. So she has a visually distinctive look, which is great for cinema. But again, Brown also looked just like her, but then I just read this morning that they used AI to help her look like her, which is kind of gross. But I still think Brown gave a more compelling and interesting performance. And I think in terms of pacing and storytelling, it was a huge fail of Miller to spend this much time with her that young. I would have maybe cut that down by at least a third so that Anya Taylor-Joy was really more the focus.
I really like the film. And that's kind of shocking considering that Erik knows this, most of the team knows this. Jay, when we do Director Watch, he knows this from working with me many years. I don't like prequels. I think prequels as an idea, as a concept, are usually a terrible idea. They're mostly for studios just to get like more money out of audiences. But the idea of a Mad Max prequel is kind of antithetical to that, right? Because it doesn't make any sense because these movies don't make any money, and they never have. And even when they are in the 80s, they were cult films. They were, and I think the reception for Fury Road was high, and I think that we forget that movie barely made any money, if not made it cost. And because it was such a big player in the award season, because of, everything that is well documented in Kyle Buchanan's book about that, and that sort of pre-production, during production, and post-production, the reception. There's literally, what's so great about Kyle's book is talking about it through the lens of it during the Oscar season, how it's changed. And then the years later, Erik, how that's changed to becoming what many believe to be the great film of the last decade. It was on many people's list at the top of the decade. Whether you agree or not, is beside the point. It was on those lists. I was on mine. It was my number 2 film behind Moonlight. And I loved the film. And I think that it's the kind of it's a dangerous action film to be made, and it shouldn't exist. And yet it does. And it's a fantastic piece of cinema. And I was always hesitant about the idea of, okay, we're not even going to have Max in this film. We're not even going to have Charlize Theron, who's incredible as Furiosa in Fury Road. In what I always felt should have been an Oscar-nominated role for her. I think she's tremendous there. And so how do you expand this, and how do you then also potentially build off of the story? Because that's what you have to do. You have to build this story up into Fury Road. And I thought the film really did a great job of recontextualizing while creating its own movie, recontextualizing the ideas of Fury Road. That movie is completely about redemption. And we would think that it's about revenge. That's mostly what people kind of think about when you hear a movie called Fury Road, or you see it, or maybe in the often. But if you really listen to the dialogue of that film, which is, I watched the film before I saw Furiosa, the movie is all about regret. And it is about redemption that Furiosa is looking for while trying to go to the Green Place and trying to save these women in that film. And a lot of that has to do with, I think, the storyline of this film, which is the regrets of not being able to save her mom, the regrets of not being able to escape, all of the things that has happened to her and all the mistakes and fumbles that have happened along the way. She doesn't want that to happen again. And I highlighted that in the review up on the site, is that this is a movie that is full on actually the revenge movie. And the second film is the redemption film. And I think that together makes a full arc for this character. I don't know where they're going to go further with this. I don't know if they can, because I don't know if any studio, especially Warner Brothers, is going to highlight and make another $200 million movie, because it's not making any money. And it's definitely not going to make back its budget. But I thought that from the beginning of this movie, it just had the right momentum of her mother chasing after she's been taken. I love just sort of I love the way this movie looks, which I know I don't think you do, but this was the problem I had.
It looks fine. It looks, except for the fact that
I mean, the CGI I get the complaints.
CGI is absolutely horrible. It's horribly integrated. And that's the thing about Fury Road that was so good, is that there was ample CGI added to sequences, but your focus was on the practical so much that it was really just to augment, which is kind of what it should be. And so many of the like bird's eye shots of the trucks and things were just, it was like watching the some of the sequences in Titanic where people are walking along the deck and
it's fake.
And it's fake, but for 97 it was pretty good. It's not good for 2024. It just it looks bad, and I kind of call it Inferior Road.
Okay.
That's my
taking
short review of Furiosa. It was frustrating.
No, I mean, I get that. I mean, also that more heavily relied on CGI here is because Miller and the company were trying to not go as far in terms of a hellish production and trying to kind of skirt the line that they got in a lot of trouble for doing a lot of practical things, pushing their actors to places. These are very hard films to make. I think they tried in a lot of ways, and I think successfully for me, unsuccessfully for you, in trying to make it a safer product while trying to do the best they can to, make something as stylistically close to what they did before. It's very hard to do that, obviously. I think that, I think for the most part, though, the story pushes it forward. I was very invested in the world building, in the expansion of the world building that Miller and his team do here. I agree with you. I think Chris Hemsworth's fantastic in this. Yeah. I saw this movie again over the weekend, and there is comedic bits, sure, but there is an arc with him where he completely loses his sense of power that he has gained, and he becomes, scared in a lot of ways at the power that he has gained too. And I like that Hemsworth is able to portray that. I do agree with you. I think Brown is better than Taylor-Joy. And I think that Taylor-Joy is fine in this, is good at times. I think she's carried by the ensemble around her, the parts around her. I think you and I disagree on this. I think Tom Burke's pretty good in this film too.
Oh, I think Tom Burke is great.
I didn't know if you.
I like him.
We didn't
a
talk
lot.
about it. I think all the pieces around them are really, really good. I do think though the ending, the last 15 minutes of this movie, you have to buy into it or not. But I did, and I still think it's great. And that's probably Anya Taylor-Joy at her best in this film, and it's where she actually has to act the most. And I did buy into it, but it's mostly buying into the character's arc more than probably even the actress playing it. I did think that it was a terrible idea, the end credits of this movie, to put Fury Road in the end credit. I thought it was like, don't do that, because now you're just
let's go watch a good movie.
Also, too, when most people are at home and they watch these back to back, if that's what Miller wants them to do, because he had the idea for this story first before he had Fury Road, and they would
I know.
only,
Theron was given the choice of doing either Furiosa or Fury Road.
Yeah, and she chose Fury Road. Yeah. And I think it would be a mistake to then be like, wait a minute here. At home, I'm about to put in the other one. Why are you showing me the whole film that I'm about to just watch? And that was the only era I was like, oh, George, I don't agree with you. But I still think it was a hell of a good time. There was a reason why we didn't pick it in the box office draft. Neither one of our teams.
I like I said just before we started, I think we need to be able to short films now in the future ones, like the stock market, because this would have been something I think we absolutely would have said, yeah, we're gonna short this because there's no way it's making.
Honestly, I think that might be something that we do add next year.
Like, I think it's a cool idea.
Like
it's better than a bomb pick. Like
we keep the bond pick, but we also have a short. We have a short pick too, where it's like where we can regain money back because we shorted on it.
Yeah. I think so.
Whatever it doesn't make, we get that money back into her. So I like that. Yeah, coming up with new rules on this show. This is great.
Yeah.
Fury Road.
I will say I did like Rictus Erectus and Scrotum. Were super funny.
Scrotus, not scrotum.
Scrotus, same thing. The Beavis and Butthead of it. But there were also these like sequences with it like in there that started to feel like David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah.
Like what's his face, with his exposed titties and rubbing on his
nipples. You mean the people eater?
Face?
John Howard?
Yeah. Was straight up like Lynch's Harkonnen. I don't know. Yeah. It just was, but again, it felt very Australian, and that was kind of funny. I missed having a central war boy the way that we had in
just wanted
Fury Road
in this movie.
No, but
I get what
the
you're
war
saying.
boys are a big part of it, and I just they felt like a much more of a monolith than they did before in the other one. So.
No, I do like, though, that this was kind of more of a focus on the power structures and the dynamics of these leaders in this wasteland, right? And I think substituting the war boys.
Yeah, but that was boring. That was like House of Gucci, listening to fucking meetings around a table.
I loved it.
Bored.
And nope, great. And then I think also, too, seeing more of the people underneath, like the couple of scenes that we have with the Maggot Queen. Which was totally giving like you in the post-apocalyptic future, my dear.
I fucking knew you were gonna say it, and I was gonna try and interrupt you and say, "Yes, I felt seen," before you even got a chance to.
But no, I just think there's I do also like the runs to Gastown, and I do think though there were, while you can really hammer home the CGI not being, as good or integrated with the practical.
And I did.
I do think the way in which Miller invents the new tension, the bad guys, and how that's all sort of evolved, the scavengers that are on the outside. I do think the use of like the flying cars and the sequence and using of the different, bad guys as Jack and Furiosa are making those runs on the Fury Road. It was a different way of seeing that because we've heard a lot about that, and obviously she goes off-road in Fury Road, and it's a different, and obviously the bad guys are Immortan Joe and everybody at the Citadel. This showing like the danger of this road, the danger of this wasteland for these commodities, and also just showing, again, the false profiting and lies of those that are in power. I thought, again, Hemsworth, to me, probably the best supporting actor performance I've seen this year. I think he's having
okay.
Yeah, I think he's great, and I think that he would be someone that like more than somebody like Austin Butler or others that have had performances this year. This one should be one to celebrate because I did not even expect him. I thought this was going to be bad casting. To be fair, I thought this was going to be really, really bad casting from the get-go. You see the trailers, it's like, oh God, he's going to do his sort of Thorish thing. And I thought it was more emotional, and even though, yes, this is a highly elevated character, even grounded a lot of times for his work. And he struck the right tone. It was like I said in the review up on the site, it's like a demented, evil Captain Jack Sparrow at times, but but by the end of the film, I'm not laughing with him anymore. You know what I mean? You are at the beginning of it because he's a buffoon and he's a moron, but so there are so many of the men in his faction as well. And yeah, and the fact, and also another great name, Dr. Dementus. Just, yeah, go get your checkup with him every now and then. You know what I mean? But anyway, Furiosa, it's in theaters. Go see it. See it for yourself. It doesn't help anybody in the box office game, so you can see it as much as you want or not see it. It really doesn't matter anymore.
Now you should go check out Garfield.
Fuck no. How about that? Cannes happened this last 2 weeks, and we had the Cannes prizes were announced this past weekend, and Erik was able to kind of cover them all over on the website. And the big kind of it I don't know from what you were looking at through online, but it kind of seemed like for the most part the festival was kind of with not just titles in competition, but even some of like the special screenings felt kind of like a little bit of a mixed bag, and then it kind of picked up towards the end with some later screenings, Erik. But we do have
I don't know if I would agree with that.
You don't think so? You think this is one of the great lineups after last year? It's on par with last year in terms of everybody talking about film after film.
Why is a simple disagreement you going from 0 to 60 to the opposite end?
Because that's ridiculous. Because from everyone that was there, it seems very mixed, and the people that were there, watch people online. Not as many. Oh, this is a masterpiece, or this is one of the best films of the year. There were a lot of disagreements.
Since you asked me, I'm going to answer your question. Because yes, if you look at the screen grids, normally you'd have a few films that are, in the very high 2s and into 3s. And it took all the way to the end, for something to really break through. So there was from like real critics too, not like a whole bag of idiots that get to go to Cannes now.
I agree.
So that was valid. That not that the films were so much lackluster, but just that I think people were waiting for something. There were some bigger titles early on, like Megalopolis, and certainly that was one of the most, if not the most anticipated film. And having it early in the festival kind of just it spiked. The reviews were pretty much, I think, exactly on par, which means extremely, extremely mixed.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And then it just kind of disappeared from there. Yeah. But what one of the takeaways from the outside that this year really had a lot of, and we saw it online, obviously, because was a complaint about a certain faction of critics and type of people that are in Cannes now and get to go to Cannes now. And a lot of that is, being kind of annoyed with newer, younger people that either don't really know how to talk about movies or are so very desperate to talk about them immediately, very quickly, and very blandly, that they kind of offer nothing to the discourse other than just clogging it up. And I think that was something that this year, more than any previous year that I can think of, was a big part, was the discourse being swallowed up by tweeters, by people that would say things like, I don't understand this movie. That's cool. Why do you even need to say that? What are you really offering to anything other than, kind of that, nothing? It doesn't mean that the only people worthy of, participating in film discourse at Cannes are old school people, because
Yeah.
Cannes is very much a caste system. You have your colored badges, you have your priority. And a lot of people that are newer or younger are just getting in, they're really excited, and but a lot of people don't know how to act and behave at a festival.
No,
They just
no,
don't.
no. But I what I'm getting at mostly is that there were bigger names in the lineup, and usually, even though there are bigger names in the past, there are apologists for those. Outlets are pretty, favorable, or most people are very favorable. We had new films from, Andrea Arnold and Paul Schrader and Sean Baker, who is our new winner of the Palme d'Or. And
David
so
Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg. And there were, what I'm saying is maybe lesser than, and I guess in everyone agreeing on that these movies, there was more divisiveness, I think, this year than in years past. And with that divisiveness, then it kind of leaves us here who did not go. We did not go this year. Looking at it from a lens of, well, I personally, to me, I think that that's great, because then that allows me, when I do see them or you see them later in this year, to form opinions that may, they are still kind of up in the air, and you get to go on either side rather than uniformity, which has happened over the last couple of years. But also, too, it didn't feel like at times there was the big kind of like, we all kind of are expecting this movie specifically, or these two movies specifically, in the prizes, and it's kind of left it to be a really interesting day when they did kind of bring everything back, because even a movie like The Substance, right, which was very heavily regarded by so many people, there was also controversy and backlash around that one. There was divisiveness on Yorgos Lanthimos' new film, Kinds of Kindness, though more positive than not. Mostly that had to just, from what I've read about length and the anthology of it all, people just don't like anthologies sometimes. But then also, it was. I know the other thing that kind of drives me nuts about this, and we can be victim of this at times, though. You and I can say this because I've worked with Erik now for a couple of years. While we do want to know what the international film is, or the international films that are going to cover the race, and we're going to probably talk about this today, we also want to just know what are the international films we're going to see at Telluride, more than anything else, and the movies that we're going to see. And which ones to pretend, because that is such a short festival as opposed to Cannes being 2 weeks, and some people can go to Cannes and see 50, 60 films. You go to Telluride, you see like maybe 15 films. So you have to prioritize everything, and also release dates and things of that nature. So we always have to keep an eye on all those things. And it felt as if, like looking at the critics' grids, looking at reactions, there wasn't a lot of consensus, which can be great, but also could be a product of just the lineup and the type of films they selected. And also, I don't know if it is a product of when you also look at the box office going on right now. It feels a little weak. It feels a little dour. It feels a little down. It feels a little bit of maybe even a residual effect of the strikes, for sure. Maybe all that's a factor, but otherwise, we had these winners happen nonetheless. And what did you think of these winners, and what did they kind of tell you going forward into the race? Because, over the last couple of years, we've had at least one or two films in the Best Picture race or in the conversation around here. We had last year was Zone of Interest, and Anatomy of a Fall, and Killers of the Flower Moon was premiered at Cannes last year. We had May December there last year as well too. In years past, it's like Drive My Car, and and various other films as well. So, Erik, what did you think of this lineup, and particularly, what did you think of Sean Baker winning the Palme for Anora?
I would have liked to have gone this year. I think it's a really cool lineup. I really dig from what I had read, and obviously I edited all of the reviews that came in, so it just gave me a lot of information about the films, and so I did like this lineup a lot. I thought it was interesting that the narrative behind the Iranian director Mohammad Rezalev escaping Iran to be able to go to Cannes with The Seed of the Sacred Fig, which is just one of those titles that sounds like a made-up title, like an independent film when they're making fun of like foreign films. It just sounds like one of those titles. Yeah. So I actually, in my like throw off early predictions halfway through, I was like, oh, this could totally win the Palm because there is a narrative behind it that has so much message power.
And what that speech
and instead,
could do.
the jury gave it a special award completely outside of the award scope of titles of prizes that it gives, which was sort of like, and the response to it was good, just not great. And that felt kind of backhanded. It was like, it wasn't really good enough for any of these, but we really want to acknowledge your struggle, which was a little kind of, I don't know, weird. Like,
thank you for coming. Here you go. Here's your gift bag. You know what I mean?
The category I think everybody was the most kind of on edge about it was actress and how that was going to play out, because we had Mickey Madison and how overwhelmingly positive the response to Anora was. The absolute ferocious comeback of Demi Moore this year felt like she was a very real contender, and she certainly had to have been. And Greta Gerwig and her jury did something not unprecedented, but
rare,
extremely uncommon, and they gave 4 actresses from one film the Best Actress prize, and that was for Emilia Perez, and it's Carla Sofia Gascon and Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez, and Adriana Paz, which was a surprise, mostly because the that 4th actress, certainly in our review and in other reviews that I read, was not spoken of in the same way as the others. And Gomez and Saldana are supporting essentially to Gascon's lead, this wild story of drug cartel leader that becomes a woman to escape it's crazy. And the descriptions of it from people were like, Sicario meets Mrs. Doubtfire, were so insane.
And they were wild.
It's a lot. And Netflix bought it for $12 million. It's going to be a huge player. It's Jacques Audiard. It can be France's international submission if they choose to. So there's this movie can go pretty far. But the choice the last time that this had happened like this was Voltaire, and the 5 women, I think it's 5 that were picked there. But this also won the jury prize, and you can do 2 awards prizes for a film. It has to be in the lower ones. You can't do the Palm and something else. So that was a little bit surprising that it got both. The Substance we just mentioned won for screenplay. Interesting choice, but I think maybe when you read the reviews and you look at it, that makes the most sense
for its originality. That makes kind of sense in giving it a screenplay prize. For sure. Plemons, Jesse Plemons, that is, winning Best Actor for Kinds of Kindness, which is not surprising because of that ensemble cast of that 3-story anthology, all kind of connective tissue. From what a lot of people said, including our review, I believe as well, that he was the lead of that film. Yorgos Lanthimos films, when they have been in competition at Venice or at Cannes, they have never not walked away with at least something. And now that household has him and Kirsten Dunst. They both have prizes from Cannes, and which is great. And obviously, Plemons, one of the great actors that we have working today. I don't know where that will lead him in the. I know that Kinds of Kindness literally comes out in a month's time. So, and I don't know how that will be received once it's fully out there outside of Cannes, but. Baker to me was the interesting pick. I mean, obviously, another neon win. It's the neon Dior. I mean, they own this. It's kind of getting
it's their 5th win in a row.
It's kind of annoying. A little bit.
It's crazy. And sometimes they go in already. Having a film, and sometimes they pick it up. Yeah. So this, I was not surprised by it.
No.
It was my alt, and again, this was halfway through the festival. Yeah. My alt prediction to win this. It makes a lot of sense. He's had films at the festival before, but this is always something that's worth talking about with festival wins, is that these juries are completely different every year. So there is the selections are the same people, that program the festivals, but when you have these juries, you can't say, well, this won last year, so this feels like something that can win this year. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Well, and also too, the presidents of the juries are always completely different, and the makeup of the various people, they try to have a diverse amount of representations, at least in the juries, maybe not in the selection of films or the filmmakers that have made those films, but they definitely have tried to at least do that within the juries. And Gerwig was coming off of Barbie, and then was announced during the award season last year that she would do this. Which is not surprising. That's usually, it's kind of happened over the last couple of years, is a predominant filmmaker or presence in cinema is the lead of the jury. But I
think she was a fantastic choice.
I think she was great
to lead this too.
And I think her and Lily Gladstone and Ava Green serving it on those red carpets and having a ball every day was awesome. And we need more of that. But I also think we know this about Greta Gerwig. She is a massive fan of cinema, and she took it very serious. And but Baker winning this is not surprising. He is someone that is kind of felt like this was going to happen at a certain point. Because his films have been well received by international audiences, by international panels, including both Venice and at Cannes. I believe, was it Red Rocket? Was that Cannes last time as well too, or was it Florida Project?
Florida Project was
and Cannes or Venice had Red Rocket, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I do apologize if I am. But first American filmmaker to win the Palm since Terrence Malick for Tree of Life. That is a huge. That's in many years. That's also to take the mantle from maybe one of the greatest films of the last 25 years. Also, is saying a lot. So it lives up. It now has high expectations on itself. It will be an awards player throughout. We will see it, no doubt, probably at Telluride. Will be its next stop, or just in theaters, depending on when it is releasing. There was a rumor that it was coming out this summer, but we don't believe that is the truth.
They're not gonna win the Palm and then release it in the summertime.
No. They're gonna have a full run of it.
It'll hit the festivals,
and it'll be their big film. And it's the first time that Baker's worked with Neon. He's usually been primarily a A24 director. So it is interesting that his latest film is going over there. But they had the film before. They didn't buy it. They had it already, and which is not surprising, given that he's already kind of a name brand within the indie film. Well, not kind of. He is a name brand within indie filmmaking here in America. It sounds like a really interesting film. It also sounds like potentially their big film this year within the race, as well as also maybe potentially any awards chances for them. I don't know how far it can go because we do this every year, right? Where some films win the palm and we think that it's going to go all the way, but most time in history that's not always the case. Last year was Anatomy of a Fall. A couple years ago it was Triangle of Sadness, and years before that it was Parasite, but then also there was Titan. So it just but
this is not Titan.
No, it's not Titan, but
and Nora is going to be very to use a word that I hate using that people use, very accessible.
I would hope.
I don't see it running into any issues with being able to be popular on the festival and awards path.
We'll see. I'm not fully there just yet, just because it wins the palm. I think it's his films are thorny and complicated.
He's thorny and complicated,
and also
if anything, that's what I would be concerned about is managing the slings and arrows that will be coming for Sean Baker for his various likes and support of right-wing ideology.
Yeah.
And actions.
Yep. I've talked to him before in person. He's a very nice guy. I talked to him during Red Rocket season with him and Simon Rex for the website. And he's an interesting filmmaker. He's making movies I don't think a lot of people are making right now, but yes, he does have an ideology that if you get him in some round circles and certain things are said, that it might derail the chances, but we'll see. It's a long season. It's a long way until then, and I think that it's a good transition to start talking about maybe not its Oscar chances, but the Oscar season as a whole, Erik, because we're coming up already at halfway through the year. At this point, last year, on the horizon was a little thing called Barbenheimer. We had already seen a movie called Past Lives. We had movies like Killers of the Flower Moon, Zone of Interest, May, December, Anatomy of a Fall, which won the Palm. So we had a lot of our films in the award season already either premiered or about to premiere. And so far, if you look at this season, this year, it has been, I won't say it would be a disappointment because there have been some very good films that have already come out this year. But it feels as if from the first half of the year, there doesn't seem to be the film that usually comes from the first half of the year over the last couple of years that it feels like an Oscar player, except potentially Dune Part 2, correct? And other than that, it doesn't seem like the small indie or the little film is there, depending on, I guess, how much you think challengers can do. But we have a second half of the year. Let's talk about the first half of the year, and let's see what do you think of it in the films and the potential there, Erik. Let's talk about the first half first.
Well, we just talked about the winners at Cannes, so let's go back to January and let's look at Sundance. You mentioned Past Lives, and that's where that came from.
Yep.
Sundance is a very wonderful breeding ground of potential Oscar contenders if they are, released. The release strategy is smart, or if the studio behind them supports them enough. And A24 did that with Past Lives just enough, to squeeze it in there to Best Picture and Original Screenplay. And this year, let's see, In the Summers was the Grand Jury Prize winner there. I don't think that will factor anything whatsoever to this race. And then Didi, the Sean Wong film, was the U.S. Dramatic Competition Audience Award winner. I think there is potential with Didi. Focus Features has it. It's opening July 26th, I think. So it is very counter programming to summer blockbuster stuff. So it's not going to, be a part of the fall festival run or anything like that. So if there is, and I know Focus Features has a much, much bigger
slate
contender. That's coming later this year.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that DD is going to do a whole lot, but it might have some impact in first time director races and things like that.
Yeah, maybe some Gotham Award nominations or something.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Indie Spirit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
The percolating under kind of things. Yeah, for sure. Indie Spirits. Berlin, I don't think gave us really a whole lot.
No. And I don't think South by Southwest gave us much more.
South by Southwest gave us absolutely nothing. It was nothing at all. The interesting thing that came out of Berlin was Sebastian Stan's leading acting win for A Different Man, because I think there was some kind of a little bit of hope that he was going to win at Cannes for playing Donald Trump, and then have two wins from two different films and film festivals in a single year, which would have been unprecedented and kind of cool. That was, I think that's mostly it from there. Dahomey from Mata Diop was the Golden Bear winner. It's a documentary. It might factor into that. The documentary races are really fun because there are so many groups and precursors. But I don't know. I don't know. There's other docs that came out of Sundance that I think are going to be more likely.
I do think that you may have missed maybe one film that came out of Sundance, and I do think
there's things that came out of Sundance. I was just focusing on winner stuff right now.
Oh, you're just focusing on winners.
Because a real pain
is the film that I think
is the film from Sundance that should be able to do something.
Yeah, I know that we just had the release of I Saw the TV Globe. That feels very much in the first time director, maybe Indie Spirit, Gotham Award sort of realm as well. I know that's
A24.
That's A24. They've got 900 films that they'll have this year that we'll get the bundles of screeners for, and that'll be in there.
But they finally got 2 Best Picture nominations.
And that means that the scales will balance out, Eric, and they won't get one this year. Because usually that's how it works. I think that movie, while good, I don't know if it is. I don't know if it can crack through. I don't see. That's the thing. It's like something about Past Lives. It's that movie was so universal. Even a movie like Coda that came out of Sundance a couple of years ago, they were universally loved. They were picked. They were found at a certain time. They were emotionally heartbreaking. People were talking about them. Time will tell. I think A Royal Pain could. A Real Pain. Sorry, why did I say A Royal Pain? A Real Pain could be that. And that's going to that's coming out later in the year. You could play some festival runs and have, and
that's Searchlight. They have a very healthy slate as well. They've got some stuff that, we'll be talking about in a minute. And I hope it does. I think A Real Pain is an absolutely incredible film.
Yeah.
I hope that it has a good future.
Yeah. I think that if we want to switch over back to Cannes and just talk about some films that did premiere there, it seems that, obviously Honora is a player, because, and the reason why I think you might be actually right, and it is a player, just depending on maybe PR or maybe if, word of mouth or whatever. If you look at the lineup of movies that we're going to talk about here forward, it doesn't seem very strong. There's not a lot of big films. There's not a lot of it doesn't seem as packed as usually it is. Now that could be the case, then that could totally change. But there were movies like that people had in Oscar predictions, like Megalopolis, like like Bird. People thought that Bird could be a movie from Andrea Arnold, could be an awards player. and obviously, Oh Canada could have been like a Richard Gere vehicle, maybe for Best Actor, or even, dare I say it, and I'm not trying to spew propaganda around here, but like some people are like, what is Horizon and what would that be and what could it be? And it's the start of a new franchise and da 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 da. And all those movies seem to kind of just either be middle of the road or fall off, and it doesn't and be too divisive enough to potentially be a movie that carries over for a studio into an awards campaign. I don't know. What do you kind of think of the films, not just the winners, but the films in general from the lineup at Cannes in terms of their awards chances after these last 2 weeks?
Well, I think a lot of us, once we start turning our eyes on the award side of things, because Cannes has been such a powerhouse of these, and like you had said earlier, we're sort of looking for the international film and filmmaker that's going to crack the shell of Oscars, because that is now a regular thing. And, having an American film from an American filmmaker win the Palm for the first time in 12 years sort of shatters that a little bit. So it's a good thing. It just means that, that predictability becomes more difficult, and you have to look around a little bit more. I mean, a movie that nobody has, that is really kind of maybe either caring or talking about, is Grand Tour from Miguel Gomez, who won director.
Mm-hmm.
If that is a film that picks up, and it'll definitely play festivals. If it gets to feature into the international race, then it might become one of those from here.
Mm-hmm.
Grand prize winner, All We Imagine Is Light, really popular,
Very popular,
very critically acclaimed.
one of those late breakers in the festival.
Yeah, again, something that it's so much of it depends on. You can either be like a Triangle of Sadness, Ruben Östlund, who has sort of a background of things to get you there, or you can be a part of the international feature film race or conversation, and find your way there. I think that the thing about this year, maybe for some, because they were just a little too awards focused on the list and not about the film so much, is that it didn't become super easy.
Mm-hmm.
Zone of Interest and Anatomy of a Fall were extremely easy last year.
They just put them out there for us. They were like, there you go.
It was great.
Yeah.
So I think there's it makes it a little more difficult. But like I said earlier, I think Emilia Perez absolutely is going to be a major player.
Yeah.
Throughout this.
I agree.
And especially if France picks it, and I don't know, they changed their country's way of picking
Mm-hmm.
after last year, and so like Terry Frimo is off of the committee now, and that's kind of a big thing. And we saw what happened last year when The Taste of Things made it as their pick over Anatomy of a Fall, and that worked out for one of their favors and not the other.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you look at the film that we talked about earlier today. People like had Furiosa on their lists because of what Mad Max did before. I do not believe, outside of maybe some technical awards, that it would be in a conversation for pretty much anything else above the line. I mean, the big film from the first half of the year, Erik, is Dune. Is Dune Part 2. That is a movie that will, as of right now, just look. What do you mean you guess? You don't think that movie's going to be in the Best Picture conversation? It's not going to be Warner Brothers' big push. They don't have all the
because everything else that they have is flopping.
Exactly, and that it also just
and then Horizon, the 1-2 punch of Horizon will be a really big deal for them, because they're going to go from a $1 billion hit last year to some pretty big failures.
Well, I mean,
potentially this year, and then they'll have Joker.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a near $1 billion hit in Dune, or at least a very successful one, to then probably another maybe $1 billion movie in Joker 2, sandwiched in between is a Furiosa and Two Horizons. It's a really interesting mix that they have, right?
It is certainly a mix. Yes.
I gotta tell you, the trailer for Joker 2, I watched it in front of Furiosa. I think this movie's gonna be it looks like it's just gonna be a mess. It just feels like it feels like making a prequel. It feels like a cash grab. Clearly it's all in their heads.
All movies are cash grabs. You have to be able to make some money about them. Yes.
Not all movies.
You know what I mean.
Not all movies
a studio is not making a loss leader unless they're, well, actually, no, unless they're Warner Brothers and they're just going to write it off. Yeah. So
that's true. Or you're a streamer. But I don't know what to make of that movie. I think that movie, I don't know if I can trust that 5 years later we're going to have another big, oh, we love Todd Phillips and Joker sequel and Lady Gaga. It could be the biggest mistake ever. None of these. There's a lot of movies on the board that don't feel, particularly even safe, or they feel like they have some sort of baggage. I mean, even like I think about Joker 2, I think about Gladiator 2. And I think about a movie like that, and like, what is that even going to be? Is that more just an action vehicle? We've seen what Ridley Scott movies have done over the last couple of years, which is nothing in the awards race. The massive reshoots, the giant budget. Yes, it's got Paul Mescal and it's got Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal. It's got a great cast that Eric's very excited for, and I'm very excited for it too. And I love the first one, but usually, for the most part, sequels to Best Picture films also don't do particularly well either. They're usually a mistake. So
I just don't understand the idea of what the appeal of Gladiator nostalgia is. Where is that? Where are the people that are like, boy, I really wish we had another Gladiator movie? Because we saw what happened. Actually, Gladiator was such a big hit and changed movies for a very short period of time, where those sword and sandal kind of things that were so big in the 50s and 60s suddenly came back. And then immediately after that, every studio had their version of them,
and they were
consistently inferior, super expensive, and it was a disaster. And if they hadn't been, we would have kept seeing them, like, with superhero movies.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're not wrong, because that's how we get like an Alexander.
Hey, Alexander is great,
or a Troy.
We were just talking about Alexander and Troy this weekend, actually, which was so funny.
Or you get Kingdom of Heaven. You know what I mean?
We're talking about that as well.
Yeah. I'm not saying that those are bad movies. I'm just saying, like, they are reactionary to the marketplace wanting more Gladiators.
Absolutely. And so I'm wondering where the marketplace is for Gladiator 2.
True.
To be honest.
True. I totally agree. Eric, do you see a movie coming out in this? You already kind of started doing your predictions pieces and playing with your team.
I haven't started prediction pieces yet. I will in next week in June, but
yes, he has. For the listeners out there,
it's a little bleak.
It is bleak. I mean, it is rough. I mean, do you have some films that I guess you're more confident in than others? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's that many, right?
Yeah, but it's
because usually
this is a strike thing. This is a feels like a post strike kind of. We're not really sure what is happening, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
I think it's going to potentially give us one of two things: either some very depressingly rubber stamped choice like Gladiator 2 or Dune 2 for that matter,
or Joker
2, exactly, or it will sort of push people to maybe what might seem more eclectic picks. Look at the Emmys right now and like drama series.
I'm trying not to.
Completely different it's going to look compared to last year because of shows that are not coming back or have already ended their runs, whatever it is. It's going to be a weird lineup that will not look like next year's kind of lineup. So this year sort of feels like that it's going to have most likely some big name sequels because it's going to feel like that's what there is to pick. And then we've got like Steve McQueen's Blitz.
Yeah.
I think the Focus Features movie I was talking about earlier is Conclave. I think that is going
Edward
to
Berger's follow-up to All Quiet on the Western Front.
Edward Berger. I think that's going to be a big fall player.
Yeah, I think so too, because he was probably close to a director nom, if not, if we had done the voting.
So insane that he didn't.
Yeah, really, when you look back on it and you're like, why the hell isn't he in this lineup?
Everything was pointed to it. Everything added right up to it. It was wild.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about Blitz. Is Blitz the Killers of the Flower Moon, the West Side Story, the Fableman sort of film that we just put in the slot because everybody has it kind of just penciled in as the favorite, right? And that's
everything's penciled right now. That doesn't matter.
I know, but I just play along for the podcast, Erik, please. Yes. But usually those movies they don't tend to be the big players by the end of the year because, everyone's like, oh, well, that's just a big movie. It gets in nominations, fine, but those, it doesn't feel like, though, even Blitz feels like right to put in there. There doesn't feel like there's any placeholder film. I think we just assume that Blitz, because on paper it's Steve McQueen, he's won, Best Picture before. It's a war film. It's got Saoirse Ronan behind it. It sounds on paper like, man, that is an awards movie, but that doesn't, but that's still, his last movie, his last actual theatrical movie, not a documentary that was 9 hours long that nobody finished, and not 5 movies that the LA Film Critics Group tried to make into one movie during the pandemic, which were TV movies anyway to begin with. His last movie was Widows, and that's
great movie,
which is a great movie. No, I love that movie. Not shading Widows, but it did underperform immensely throughout the season. And
it didn't perform at all.
At all. Besides like Viola Davis's BAFTA nomination, which is still one of the most wild. Like, okay, all right, juries, I see what you're doing here. But yeah, I mean, that seems to be the one there. So you speak of international directors. I was talking with Sophia earlier this week of the success of challengers. And then, of course, hear me out, having Queer come out, Luca Guadagnino having 2 films. If Queer is as good as, we hope it to be, could Luca be the international director pick? Could he be someone that has a run and has, could he be a serious contender with those 2 films that could be very well received? Luca Guadagnino doesn't make bad movies. And so I would keep my eye out on Queer and how that plays throughout the season. That's another film that kind of benefits from not having huge hitters come into the race and having these giant movies like Oppenheimer and Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon come into the race. It benefits those smaller directors, especially a director very well liked, working with ensemble casts. And I know that since Call Me by Your Name, he hasn't had awards luck, but I'm keeping my eye on Queer for Luca and potentially Daniel Craig and as well in Best Actor. What do you think of that?
I would say, obviously, sight unseen, I would see chances more for Queer than for challengers.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Because there are people that are tripping over themselves, thinking that, oh wow, it can get Best Picture and Best Actress, and I'm
no. No, I'm thinking the success of challengers helps.
I know that,
Queer.
but people that have already started their early predictions have challengers all over the place. And I love that film to death. It's my favorite thing I've seen this year.
Yep.
No. No.
I mean, it would be
0 nominations.
I mean, it would be nice, right? Like to be proven wrong on that. But as of right now, no.
Sure.
I don't agree with you either. I think it's
but one to your point, Queer I think will benefit because of the success of challengers. Yeah. And it doesn't have a distributor yet. We don't know where it's gonna fall. And that'll be the deciding factor. Feels like if it gets picked up and when it gets picked up. That'll be it. It feels very Venice though. I feel like it'll be Venice.
Venice and then maybe carried over? Or just Venice to New York?
It really needs someone to grab it.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. It kind of feels very Searchlight, but they have such a heavy slate. It feels focused. Well, maybe it just goes to Amazon and then it dies there.
Because he's exhausted his Amazon deal. So
yeah,
I don't know if that would be the case, but Challengers was super successful. They could come back to the table.
Yeah. But supposedly this is like a 3-hour movie from what we've been told, or maybe, I don't know, rumors.
I know where you got that information.
No, I didn't get it. I just got it
on you.
I got it online.
From where?
I don't know. I saw a tweet about it.
Where did that come from?
Did it come from the source? The bad source?
It came. Yes.
Oh, man. No, I didn't know that it came from the bad source. Damn it.
Yes, it did.
There's a couple of bad sources, to be fair, out there. So it's not like, oh, man, now I feel bad.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, we mentioned A24, a movie that was at TIFF last year. We forgot to mention this movie. It was a movie at TIFF last year. A lot of people really love it. It's got a Best Actor nominee from last year in Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing.
Yeah. It's not that we have forgotten. We're just still talking.
Yeah. Did you, what do you think about Sing Sing? You've actually seen it. I haven't seen the film. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's coming out. I think it was supposed to be in the summer and now it's September.
Yeah. They're going to push it to September again.
I think they might try and sneak it into Telluride.
Yeah. I mean, they pushed it. They put it at South by Southwest. I was unable to see it.
It started at Toronto, so it did not.
I was unable to see it there too. I'm avoiding this movie evidently.
It's wonderful. It's lovely.
Oh, I thought he's
great.
Yeah, well, I mean that's not surprising. Coleman Domingo's, yeah, but I remember it being one of the highlights of TIFF, and they've had the
response to it is extremely positive, and people cry, and they love it. I didn't cry.
Well, I mean, because you're soulless. But
now you know how easy it is for me to cry. But I didn't. It was good though. It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like one of those that for A24, it makes sense for them for maybe that to be their priority, because
it's not going to be I saw the TV glow.
Well, no. But I mean, they have like 900 movies. You know what I mean?
And it won't be Civil War.
No, and it won't be Maxine. No matter how good that trailer looked. God damn, that trailer looks good.
It's great. Yeah.
I'll watch that trailer.
They also have Parthenope, the Sorrentino, but
bless you.
It absolutely flopped at Cannes.
Yay! So, wait, we're not supposed to.
I think the best you could hope for is being Italy's submission. Yeah. Again.
For sure. I got my eye on Flint Strong.
Okay.
Coming out.
Good luck with that.
And The End from Joshua Oppenheimer. I am so curious what that movie is going to be like. I don't know if it'll be an awards player or not. Probably not. But, I mean, if Joshua and Oppenheimer got kind of like an end of the world post-apocalyptic musical with Tilda Swinton in George Mackay and Michael Shannon.
I'm all for it. I want to see it. That sounds,
Conclave does sound about right, though. We have the Nickel Boys and the Piano Lessons, or other films that are like.
I'm very excited for both of those. Those were potential, for last year, and didn't make the cut, so it'll be this year. Hard Truths is very, very high on my list. That's the new Mike Lee. We will see the return of Marianne Jean-Baptiste. And that is Sony Pictures Classics. So I feel really, really good about that.
That damn studio. They know what they're doing over there every year when they have it.
I'm telling you. And speaking of Searchlight, and yes, they do have a lot of things, but I really can't wait for Night Bitch.
Yeah.
Night Bitch is going to be such a I feel like a benchmark for people. If Mariel Heller pulls off this story well, it's got an early December release, very beautifully situated, so it's going to absolutely flood the fall festivals. Amy Adams going to try once again for an Oscar. Bless her heart. And
she get out of the window.
I feel really good about it. I feel good about it.
I hope it's good. Amy hasn't made a good choice in a while. She's, to me, she'll forever be that woman in the window looking at other women getting that Oscar. And we're working with Zack Snyder. Wonderful choices. Excellent choices.
Leave her alone.
I think of her skating around the hospital, high on drugs, and Hillbilly Elegy, thinking Erik looks great in this movie. But I don't know. It sounds. It just, the premise, if you read it, which it's like she believes she's what, like she's turning into a bird or
a dog.
A dog, yeah.
Night Bitch.
Night Bitch.
It's literally called Night Bitch.
Okay. Yeah, Mariel Heller can do no wrong, in my opinion. I think she's made her last 3 films.
That's why I have faith. I have faith.
I think that, I would love to see her get her flowers as well too, because she has yet to get those. But I know it also sounds really tricky, but also, this is the same people that voted for Poor Things and Everything Everywhere All at Once. So it's
sure. Then we have Kind of Kindness, which is Searchlight.
Yeah.
So they are going to have a variant that comes out in a month.
Yeah, I know it is. It'll just be interesting to see if the Academy goes for the more stranger, darker Lanthimos than the Tony McNamara projects that he's done over the last couple of years, like more Killing of a Sacred Deer, Lobster territory, even though The Lobster did get nominated for screenplay, but that wasn't as universally received as the favorite or Poor Things. We were also talking about how many films Warner Brothers has this year, and they're going to close out the year with the new Clint Eastwood. Okay.
I don't know what to think about it other than it's probably going to be a nothing burger like his last films have been.
I don't know.
But I'm really into this cast.
Yeah. He's not acting in it. So that's something.
Yeah. So no chance of 3 ways. So with him in it anyway.
With the cartel. What do you think of the mule?
Of what?
The mule.
Of the mule?
Yeah. What do you think?
I try not to think about it.
What do you think of what was the one Cry Macho? Do you ever cry macho?
No.
Do you ever do it?
Every day.
I wish Jay was here because he'd help me out with this. This would be such a director watch tangent if we were able to do it. I am really curious about it as well because not to sound rude, but it might be one of the last films that he makes. He's getting high up there in age. He's not acting in it. I know, but he is the master of the late release in. He's the only one really that gets kind of away with it anymore. I'm going to just release my movie in the end of December and see how it works out. And
yeah, but it's already done. I mean, the movie's already like wrapped.
I know,
so
but
it's not like he snuck
it's not
it
like
in
Million
there
Dollar
like
Baby.
he did with Million Dollar Baby. Yeah.
Yeah. But it'll be just really, I mean, it's an interesting premise. And Nicholas Hoult in the awards race, right? That's the lead of the film is Nicholas Hoult too. So
Yeah, but it's Nicholas Hoult and Toni Collette and
yeah.
J.K. Simmons, Kiefer Sutherland, and Chris Messina.
Yeah. It's a hell of a lineup.
Cool. I'm so into that. So it's either going to be like, hey, maybe this is really cool, or it's just going to be a very run of the mill courtroom thriller drama. And then that's that.
Yeah. I mean,
which is fine.
Yeah. There's a movie that I really want to highlight this one because I do think it'll be all over the circuit, and I don't know when we're gonna see it, but We Live in Time is a movie that I think we have to keep our eye out on.
Okay.
John Crowley's new film, with Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield. I've heard some great pairing. John Crowley obviously had Brooklyn, and you don't like Brooklyn. Oh, I saw that face.
I don't like Brooklyn.
I like Brooklyn, and I don't love it. I like it. I think it's a good movie, and there's sort of a secret behind this movie, supposedly in the synopsis, and a lot of people that said like, kind of, when you see the secret, it make or break the film for you. It'll probably be an emotional tearjerker of a film, and I think that having both Pugh and Garfield on the scene could be really well for them as well. Both of them previous Oscar nominees.
And it's A24.
And it's A24, which could be again another big player.
Maybe that's their big horse.
That and Sing Sing, maybe. And just making you cry all season long.
We should definitely talk about some other titles for sure, and some big ones. I know people are.
I know what you're going to say
about Wicked.
God
I know
damn it.
that people have thoughts about it. I don't feel.
I don't feel good. I
don't feel good about it, or Cinta or any of that, because we haven't even gotten into like acting. But we're just sort of having a
roundabout picture discussion. I think we can talk about performances down the road, or when things are more clear. We don't have any like exclusives on who's going in what categories, so nor would we report that ahead of time. But when you look at Wicked, it's doing the thing, Eric, that I hate. That it's lining me right up at the front. I know this is why did they take out the part one? Like, it clearly, this movie should just be one movie. This shouldn't be freaking two movies. It should just be one. Make it a 3-hour movie. It's fine. It could make a lot of money. Honestly, it could make a lot of money. There's one thing I hate about this trailer more than anything else. I just hate Ariana Grande in this thing.
Oh, I love her in it.
I think she's doing fake Kristen Chenoweth. She's
just doing Mean Girl, and I love that.
I don't know, but I just don't. I think it's going to be really annoying and like, it's just going to like nails on a chalkboard. And I think Arrivo is a perfect casting. I actually think that I'm totally fine with
casting.
That.
It'll be hilarious when they play high school. But,
it's weird.
Everyone in it is, so
45-year-olds are playing high school, like Bo and Yang in high school. Come on now.
I love it. Come on. It's amazing.
But yeah, the trailer also, I know we should never judge our audience of normies on trailers alone. Because I know it's big online, but I don't know, every audience I watch it with, they're kind of just like, all right, cool, Wicked's coming out. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same with Inside Out too. Oh, cool, the new Inside Out movie's coming out. All right, I didn't know I needed that one in my life. So it's you kind of just wonder, like, how are they going to do? Like, how does Inside Out to do? Obviously, I needed to do really well in the box office game. But how does it do well in awards? Because most likely, if we had an expanded lineup, the first one would have probably got in to picture. And Wicked, if it's a big hit, regardless of like, how it does critically, it could be a big hit. It could be that big musical that breaks through. But then again, we've had a couple of musicals over the last couple of years that we thought would do well at the box office that didn't do well.
Yeah. The Wonka did.
Well, but everybody wanted to know about Chocolate.
And boy, did he have a lot to say about Chocolate.
Do you ever put that chocolate in your pocket?
In my pocket?
Yeah.
Yes, apocalypse now.
Apocalypse now. I'm surprised you haven't talked about Maria.
That I was literally just going there next
were.
because this is Awards Watch. So what we have to talk about is the actress race, and we kind of already have in a few
roundabout way
because Amy Adams in Night Bitch. Speaking of non-Oscar winners, Glenn Close has the Summer Book. That could be something for her.
Kevin Jacobson's out.
Not feeling super high about it, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, Lady Gaga for Joker 2.
Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Hard Truths, mentioned that her comeback would be absolutely fantastic. A comeback in the awards conversation. Saoirse Ronan has Blitz and the Outrun, but Blitz is the one that's going to have any kind of traction, I think.
But it's one performance to help the other, and she got great reviews out of Sundance for the Outrun.
Yeah, her reviews are wonderful, but it's
Long Days,
and then
Long Day's Journey into Night.
Sure, if it ever comes out. Sure. I think they made it 14 years ago.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the things I'm looking most forward to is the third in the trilogy from Pablo Larraín, and that is Angelina Jolie in Maria. I feel really good about that as a Venice to Telluride.
Oh yeah.
1-2 punch. Really, really, really excited for that and hopeful for Angelina Jolie.
I think either her or Amy Adams are going to get the medallion, maybe treatment at Telluride. One of those two.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. The Naiad treatment, as I like to call it.
The Naiad treatment. We talked about Joker, so Lady Gaga is probably a factor here, at least, at this point, obviously would be like a top 10 prediction.
Yeah. Florence Pugh in We Live in Time, if she's the lead there, I mean, she could be supporting, I don't know, potentially, but
yeah. Danielle Deadwyler in The Piano Lesson. I'm certainly keeping an eye on her. And then something that was at Toronto last year and picked up by Netflix, and that's His Three Daughters.
Yeah.
Which love, but it also has these three central female performances: Carrie Coon, Elizabeth Olsen, and Natasha Lyonne. And just as someone who's seen it,
yep,
I think and realistically and believe that Natasha Lyonne would be pushed as the lead while the other two would be supporting.
I have seen the film as well, and I 100% agree with you on that. I think that that's the way to go. I mean, obviously, people could talk about Zendaya for challengers, but His Three Daughters is to me, like, that is a screenplay. Those are three great performances all around. And
I think Natasha Lyonne is incredible in it. I think that they do something with her.
Honestly, I think, I mean, they're all great. I mean, obviously, Carrie Coon, we stand a legend. But the one that I actually, and Natasha Lyonne's really great in it, but Elizabeth Olsen is good. Is incredible. They all have scenes. That's the thing. They all have scenes. It's a Netflix film. They'll have it later this year. They'll have it probably back out at the festivals. And they'll have, and I mean, it is, and it's also another movie that's completely just beautiful and emotional. I know this is a movie that you and I are not high on to talk about here. But The Bike Riders from Jeff Nichols that premiered at Telluride last year. I know some people believe that it has a potential. I think that that potential will probably go away once, it doesn't do well at the box office. People see it? Yeah, I think so. Jodie Comer's accent, and all.
I think it's wild that they are going for the Fox News crowd right now. They're doing like the whatever Indy or NASCAR or whatever.
They're at the Indy 500 today. Yeah.
Yeah. They're doing like two big, very rah events. I'm like, okay, sure.
Well, I mean, Driver did it last year for Ferrari, and look how that turned out. So, they're waving the flag. They're waving the flag. Another movie, big movie from Disney. It's from an Academy Award winner and a Best Picture. He's one of his films has won Best Picture, and that's Mufasa. To keep an eye out on. I know that the trailer and everything was mixed, but it's Barry Jenkins. He makes movies, and we all will see it.
Did you say he makes movies?
Yeah, he makes movies that we all really enjoy and we see, and I love it, and I love his movie. No. Do not try to make me sound like I'm throwing shade. No.
That sounded a little shady.
I love all of his movies. I love Underground Railroad. I think it's it'll be very interesting to see how this adaptation is. I mean, we just saw a prequel come out this past weekend. Well, people online are really just being really, I think, unfair to this film already and not allowing us to see a full trailer, let alone see this film. I think the trailer looks better than the Jon Favreau movie already that we already had. But that will come out later this year. Yeah, which is a very low bar, but still. And it's got obviously him working with his regulars, James Laxton and Nicholas Pertel, and there's songs from Lin-Manuel
we don't
Miranda.
know yet.
Well, no, didn't they announce all that?
No.
Or no?
No,
okay.
no.
Well, we do know that Lin-Manuel Miranda is writing songs for it, so we can at least.
We know that, but there is no. The composer element is very complicated. Right now.
All right.
I'll say that much.
Is there anything that we left unturned? Oh, Nosferatu.
Sure.
I would love if that weird, wild movie gets in. I just doubt that Robert Eggers is making an Oscar movie with that.
Yeah,
it's a movie I definitely want to see. Don't get me wrong. I'll be there opening weekend for it. I think you also have to talk about. Oh, lastly, Here. You know what Here is? The Robert Zemeckis film with Tom Hanks and Robin Wright.
Sure. If that's a real movie?
It's a real movie. It's
sure.
With Paul Bettany, Kelly Riley, Michelle Dockery.
We'll see.
An Odyssey through time and memory. Yeah.
I'm already bored.
The follow-up, well, I mean, they're all coming back together. It's a Forrest Gump reunion. Got to see if Bob Zemeckis has got it, or if it's a big old turd like Pinocchio.
He does not. He does not have it.
And we won't have movies like there were rumored like potentially we would have like Hamnet and some other movies. I do not believe that.
That doesn't even start shooting until July.
Is there anything that we missed, Erik?
Let me look on my list. Oh, I did want to throw out Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl as a potential actress contender if she can get any kind of steam from there and it gets a good distributor. Let's see.
Maybe All the Small Things. If that for Cillian Murphy's performance, Emily Watson, I heard it got really great acclaim out of Berlin, if I'm not mistaken. Small Irish film potentially. Forgot about Hard Truths. I'm really looking forward to that now. You really got me. Oh, do you see any animated films potentially breaking through, Erik? Probably not outside of Inside Out 2.
You mentioned Flint Strong, but it has a different title now though.
Does it have a different title? I'm sorry if it does.
It's The Fire Inside. The Rachel Morrison directed film about the boxer.
The Fire Inside.
Was that what you were talking about? Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called The Fire Inside, not Flint Strong anymore.
Yes, it is actually now called the same as the Diane Warren Oscar.
I was going to say that sounds so Diane Warren wrote a musical, and yet, well, I'm looking
maybe she'll write the song for this, and it will still be called The Fire Inside.
She'll call it Flint Strong. That's what she's got the title. She's got the title right there. Come on,
stop it. That would be so funny.
I want her to go up there. I want her to go up on a piano and be like Flint Strong. Make it a country song. Because I'm Flint Strong.
You mentioned animated films. Obviously, Inside Out 2 that we just briefly ran through. But I think the Most Precious of Cargoes, which was in competition at the Cannes Film Festival from Michel Hanavicius. Have a tuna fish. I want to say it like Tom Surratt.
Did you say have a tuna fish? Is that what you just said?
Have a tuna fish. Yes. Oh my God, because that was the best ever. Tom Surratt and Jennifer Lawrence. Oscar nomination announcement. So funny.
I'm going to put you.
So yeah, maybe that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Last question. Then we're going to get out of here. You're going to have to do this, and you have to do this. Don't back out of it.
Okay.
Erik Anderson. It's the first prediction episode. So we have to, or first look at the Oscars. So we have to make a prediction. What's winning Best Picture right now?
No, I'm not. I don't do that.
Yeah, do it. Do it. Come on, Erik. Come on.
No.
The people want it. The people want to hear what you're putting on the line. Come on. Have fun. We're having fun.
Fine. Conclave.
There you go. I'll go. Man, dang it. I wanted to go Conclave.
Well, you shouldn't ask me first.
Damn it. And yeah, you're right. I just kind of screwed myself. Was the A24 film? God, now I'm trying to forget.
We Live in Time? Or what is it called?
Yeah, We Live in Time. I'll go with that.
Okay.
It's probably dead wrong, both of us. But hey, if we were right, we get to go back to this episode. It's always great. Erik, where can we find all of you and your work on the internet? We're done today. You don't have to do any more podcasting. No more Oscar talk.
Yes. Yay. Well, we just, like you said, wrapped up a lot of Cannes coverage, lots of reviews of winners and non-winners. So definitely check that out at awardswatch.com. We are knee deep in the beginning of phase 1 of the Emmys. So we have started lots of interviews and many, many more to come over the coming weeks. And you can find me on Twitter at awards_watch and everywhere else like Letterboxd and Instagram at just awardswatch.
You can find all of my work here at awardswatch.com. You can find me on Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter, Ryan McQuade 77. If you like podcasts, go and listen to the Director Watch podcast that comes out every Thursday. This week, we will be talking another film in our Tony Scott movie series. We will be talking about Top Gun. Big film to talk about this week. And obviously, iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews. We greatly appreciate it. Go over to the website. Sign up for the newsletter. Erik puts together a newsletter at least once a week, if he can remember. And it's a great place to get all of our news, reviews, interviews, and podcasts all in one place sent to you. And yes, we have all the Cannes reviews up on the website. If you want to read my thoughts on Furiosa, that's up on the website. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have the first batch of looking at the Oscar previews and all that, and Erik will have that on the website, as well as more Emmy interviews and review television. There's so much television out there right now. It's ridiculous. But we'll have also Emmy predictions as well. And everything can be found at awardswatch.com. Next week, we will be back. We're gonna be doing a daunting task next week here at Awards Watch. As you all remember, we did a Best Picture tiers episode last year, and it got so long we broke that into 2 episodes. Well, next week it is the Best Director tiers episode. So maybe it's episodes. We don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see. But I'm so excited to do that with the team next week. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.